Thank you for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an e-commerce and dropshipping site for sale in the vaporizers and electronic cigarettes niche. Created in September 2013, this business makes $8,840 per month in net profit, and the listing number for the site is 40776. We do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. How are you doing today, Eric?
Terrific. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for taking the time to be on with me today. Where are you calling in from?
Right from my office in Manhattan.
In Manhattan. How do you like it up there in New York?
Oh, I was born and raised in New York. It's my home. So I'm loving it here. This is my place.
Oh, I mean, there you go.
In the zone.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's awesome. So anyway, before we dive into the questions that I have for you, I want to go ahead and run through a quick summary of the business. Again, the business was built in September of 2013, has a monthly revenue of $28,207, expenses of $19,368 to make for a net profit of $8,840, which is generated on a 12-month average. Included with the sale of the business are social media accounts. The new buyer will also inherit the business Skype account. The seller will introduce buyers to suppliers. Some of the manufacturing contracts are exclusive and will provide exclusive access and prices on products. The seller will also provide exclusive access to YouTube influencers in the industry. Inventory is not normally included in the list price. Further details can be provided to active depositors. Eric, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure. Well, I graduated college in September of 2013, roughly at the same time that I opened this business. My major was history, believe it or not, and my minor was computer science. And we just sort of ran with it, me and my wife. We both put the hours in and we grinded. And we were lucky that we started the business at a time where electronic cigarettes were still a very, very non-mainstream thing. It was not a lot of companies out there selling them. You know, when we put 24-hour days in, we found that we were ahead of the competition. And after about a year of exponential growth, we gathered a large, loyal customer base that knew us for customer service, for making sure they were always happy. Nobody had a complaint about us. And if you Google the company and the reviews, you'll find that there's right away, you'll see just glowing reviews. That's something that was very important to us. And it really helped us grow. It fueled our growth. Customer service is the number one differentiator here in this industry, especially now.
Yeah, so since you have really worked on having amazing customer service, it's something that comes along with having a passion for the business and for the niche. Why are you selling the business?
Well, we have actually been interested in several different things while we were working with this business. A few years into the business, I started looking into real estate ventures, and we found that, we really, really loved rehabbing houses. There's something about it that really drove us, just similarly to how the electronic cigarettes drove us to, our love for me. When I say I see me and my wife. We loved electronic cigarettes. They actually got us off of cigarettes. We've been cigarette-free since 2013. And that has fueled our growth because we're vapors, and so we understand the industry. The same kind of thing happened with real estate for us. We love getting our hands dirty, with contracting and so forth. So we sort of just want to focus on one thing at a time. And this business for us is better suited in somebody else's hands because we can only be in one place at a time.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So you got into the business a few years ago in 2013 when e-cigarettes were kind of a big deal to you because it helped you and your wife get off of cigarettes. It was a passion for you. You knew the industry. You grew this business to the big success that it is today. And now you have another passion that is real estate, fixing up and selling houses, I think you said. So, yes. I mean, that's your new passion and you want to put your time and effort into that rather than having this business, correct?
Correct. And, maybe from one angle, I might be a serial entrepreneur, where as soon as something is settled and doing all right, I want to move on to something more challenging, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess a question that I have for you is, this listing has been live for a year now, and you haven't found, that right person to take over the business. And can you just kind of talk about what has changed between when the business was listed a year ago and where the business is today?
The two biggest changes right away that come to mind are the fact that the industry is moving in one direction, and that is towards on-demand sales, meaning drop shipping. Physical inventory is no longer really right now we're at the crossroads where there's e-commerce shops holding inventory and some e-commerce shops like us that are moving it on demand. So it's drop shipped directly from our distribution instead of us holding the inventory and us holding the assets. Once the product is sold, that's when we pay for a product, and then it gets moved from the distributor directly to the customer. That kind of system it hasn't matured yet, but in the next few years, that's the only way that business is going to be done online with electronic cigarettes.
Oh, yeah. So I was just going to say, so that has decreased the amount of time that you're putting into the business, I would assume, because rather than having to hold the inventory, check the inventory, and fulfill the orders yourselves, now it is shipped to the customers directly from your supplier.
Exactly.
So how much time were you putting into the business before, and how much time are you putting into the business currently?
We did 40-hour weeks before, at the very minimum. Now we could say that that's half. So we could put in 20 hours a week into this business, mainly just putting up copy, new products that come into our distributor. We make a nice page, unique content on that page, and that is the primary responsibility that anybody who is running this business would have to do. Just making unique content for Google to pick up, and so to differentiate this business from another e-cigarette business online.
So what are you currently doing for the business in terms of marketing? I know that there are social media pages with the business. Are you utilizing them for social media marketing?
We have built out our Facebook group. We have a core base of people on Reddit in certain subreddits. We have basically, when we post on Instagram, we get hundreds and hundreds of likes. We either talk to our YouTube guys, send them gear directly from the distribution, and they post it for us, link to our product page. Or, sometimes we have to reach out to reviewers that have blogs that link on their blog pages to our products. And, the only difference now is that most reviewers, the difference between a year ago and now is that most reviewers are now based on an affiliate scheme. And yet we're still locked into a low commission rate with those reviewers because we've been with them for so long.
What other forms of marketing are you doing? Do you have an email list with the business?
We do. We have about 8,000 people on our email list. We send that out monthly. We try not to bombard people's inboxes unless we have a good deal. We work on campaigns that are very attractive, that don't look like everybody else's campaigns in terms of what other companies are doing in the industry. We offer like a loss leader, if you will, in each campaign, and that brings us a lot of clicks. That, and we do have a hidden, how can I say this? There's customers that have been shopping with us for years, and they just keep coming back. They don't want to go anywhere else. And they're just coming without our email list. And these kind of customers that I'm talking about, they're high-end customers with a value that spend thousands of a year. And they drive a lot of our profit margin.
Mm-hmm. So you have a very strong foundation of recurring buyers with the site.
Yes, definitely.
So can you just explain to me, and I just want we don't have to go into too much detail here. I'm just, mainly curious. But if you look on the listing for the business, it says electronic cigarettes niche. Specifically, the site sells authentic high-end vape atomizers. For someone who's unfamiliar with the niche myself, what exactly is that, and how crucial is it to the vaping process?
Okay, so a vape can be broken down into two components. One is the actual electronic device that powers the atomizer, which is it's called a box mod or a mod. It's housing for battery and a button to fire. That's it. It's simple. Mm-hmm. That is we do actually, things have changed since then. We're no longer just atomizers. We are all hardware. So we deal with atomizers and the electronic part, which is the mod. Mm-hmm. The atomizer is absolutely essential. That's the second component, and that's what vaporizes the liquid. If you will, there's two categories in vaping. One is hardware, and one is software or juice. So juice is the actual nicotine and the liquid that you vaporize. The hardware is what you use to vaporize that liquid.
So basically, the products that you're selling, the atomizers as well as the vape mods and the juices are, very crucial to doing this. So if, like you said, the recurring customers that you do have will continue to come back time and time again, because this is something, if vaping is a hobby or, a habit or whatever it may be, if vaping is something you do, you need these products.
You absolutely do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing here is that as soon as we teamed up with our distributor, we've been able to access his whole inventory, which now, because we've established ourselves as the kind of company that handpicked products to be in our catalog, the underlying rational thought of a customer is that, they've put it in their catalog, that means it's good. Then you take that, and we added so many products from our distribution that customers still think that everything is handpicked, and thus, we have a giant selection now of juice, of stuff we didn't carry maybe a year or two ago, which really helps people come back and take a look. Almost every day we have customers coming to our new arrivals section just to see what we have.
So with all of that said about this being something that you desperately need if you want to vape, you and your business have established yourself as a strong brand in that space, correct?
Yeah, there's brand recognition throughout the industry for us, yeah.
So would you say, that's definitely got to be a selling point for someone looking at this business, that this is something that this niche absolutely needs and you're one of the key players?
I like to call, there's something in this industry, it's called being vape famous. Vape fame is something that's achieved through brand recognition. We are vape famous. We're one of the first big shops online. And so that really does bring a tremendous amount of weight with it. Quality we have higher than, keep in mind, like, customers think that we have it, then they think it's quality right away. It just comes to their mind. And so that has really helped us to keep our loyal followers and keep them busy and keep them interested in buying.
Yeah, that's definitely something that goes back to that strong foundation that I was saying before. It's set there. And now if you, keeping in mind that set foundation, working part-time, 20 hours a week, continue to make $9,000 a month on average, it's a recognized brand. If you look back at the numbers, it's not like the 8,000 average is, it's not like the numbers are really declining. The numbers have been steady for the last couple of years. Like, this is a strong brand, there to stay in this field. But if someone wanted to grow it more, how would you propose they do that? What are the big opportunities?
I would introduce them to specific industry leaders in Europe, which are higher end products worth much more, with a giant profit margin, 60 to 70% profit margin, that would definitely work with us, and that have expressed interest in the past to work with us. And they don't have a very big footprint in America. However, people are looking for those products and they just can't find them here. They have to shop with stores in the EU, like Germany and Switzerland and France. There's hardware out there that's $500 for a mod. And, there's a lot of room to put that kind of stuff in the store. And definitely the profit margins would increase from that alone. There's a lot of different strategies that can be played out. I would be more than happy to assist with that.
Are there any big risks associated with this business? Granted, this is coming, again, from someone who doesn't know much about the space, and you are the expert in the space. But historically, at least in recent times, smoking and by extension, vaping is something that has a negative connotation to it slightly. Do you feel like there's any risk with that?
So I'm glad you mentioned that. Maybe a year and change ago, there was a lot of questions. Vape shops didn't understand what was going to happen. The FDA had a procedure manufacturers had to follow, and it's called a grandfather date. That grandfather date has passed, and the current administration in this country had appointed somebody to head the FDA that is absolutely, positively okay with vaping. FDA chief Scott Gottlieb had mentioned that nicotine in and of itself is not something that should be so regulated. It is not something that is so dangerous. He compared it with caffeine. There's a statement he said that we shouldn't ban vaping. We should help. It's called harm reduction. When people quit smoking and they go to vape instead, they are reducing the harm they're doing to themselves. They finally recognize that this is something that they should promote, not, outright ban. 2 years ago, the idea of FDA was, it has something to do. It's tangentially associated with smoking. That's it. We have to regulate vaping like smoking. The mentality has cleared. So now, really much less risk than there was even a year ago. It's just a matter of the liability would be even less now with the fact that inventory is not sitting around. There is a big cycle of renewal in this industry. So every month, a new product comes out. Every 2 weeks, there's new juice out there. And that in and of itself caused a problem for a lot of stores because they would buy a product and a week it would sell, next week it wouldn't because there was a newer generation of that product. Thankfully, since we are no longer carrying the inventory ourselves, we don't have to worry about that kind of liability. And so it really does serve a much better purpose working through distribution, even if maybe it's $1 more per unit than if we were to pick it up ourselves. We offload all that risk, so it's worth it.
Something I wanted to ask you about, just talking about numbers real quick. If you look back at January of 2016, there was a massive spike in terms of revenue for the business, going from $59,000 to $188,000, and then back down to $71,000 in terms of revenue. What happened back in January of 2016?
There was an industry-wide phenomenon that a new type of atomizer was released, one that no longer needed any kind of replacement parts. It was supposedly the atomizer to beat all atomizers. And we were the first in the country with it. Actually, I'm closely friendly with the company that made it. The guy behind it is a condensed matter physicist. I mean, he's really genius. And he came up with this idea. We put it on our site, and the traffic just kept flowing to us for that product. Now, that's not the only product that can drive those kind of numbers. It happens maybe once every so often that a product comes across our table that can drive that kind of profit, depending on the new owner. Because you just watch the channel, you watch Facebook, you watch the manufacturer's work, and if something really looks like it's unique, you jump and you grab it. You grab the opportunity while it's in front of you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like you said, it also goes back to that brand recognition that you have. You were the first to come out, the first big player to come out with this new technology, and people trusted you because you have that brand that people like and trust.
And that company is still working with us, and I talk to him all the time. He's in China. He's working on the next big thing. That contact will come along with the company, and he'll help drive profit even further. There was something I wanted to touch on really quickly. Since our founding, we had a little bit of a problem figuring out the best solution for infrastructure, because once we set up shop with one host, the host would yank right from under us the plan and try to get us to go to a higher plan. This was a nonstop process until late last year. We finally moved to Amazon Web Services. Now, instead of paying $500, $1,000 a month, we're paying $100 a month, and we're getting speeds that were faster than ever before. So I just wanted to share that the infrastructure has been built out to such an extent that that'll keep costs low.
So you've been making changes in the last year that really help the business run more smoothly.
Exactly.
Do you have any employees helping you with the business, or is it primarily you and your wife?
It's just me and my wife.
Okay.
The employees that exist in the distribution, which distributor is located in California, he's got a bunch of fulfillment staff and product sourcers and stuff, and we get to use that as a benefit. So if you want to say that those are our employees, you can kind of say that.
Are you currently only available in the United States, or are you available worldwide?
We've slowly rolled out international sales, but, again, with that comes some risk. We do not ship to Indonesia, to Philippines, to sort of high-risk areas, but we do ship to Australia. We have quite a few customers from UK, for example, and, some of the West in Europe we ship. But there's still room to grow if the new owner wants to ship to Eastern Europe, to Russia, to China. China's a giant market, and they're constantly looking for American products or, European products. We have a very large selection of German-made products, high-quality stuff, and they can't get that in China. So that's something that door could open, and potentially a windfall could happen from there.
Would you commit to a non-compete?
Absolutely.
And
I have no problem with that.
I guess something that I wanted to touch on, you mentioned before that you are willing to sit down and, walk them through some of your strategies and connect them to people in the industry that like the manufacturer in China that you were speaking of. But I mean, there's just a lot about the niche, about the market that, take even me, for example, I don't have a ton of prior knowledge to the electronic cigarettes niche. Whereas you said that it's something that you're very familiar with and it's something that you're passionate about. Is the learning curve, and I'm not saying that to discourage anyone, I'm just asking, is the learning curve large?
It's really simple. What you need to do is, if you're a techie, you'll grasp it right away. I mean, there's something that is so basic in the industry, like fundamental, like Ohm's law, like battery safety. If you understand electronics and how to use a computer, you can understand how to operate a menu on a box mod. There's just so little that, I would love to give a crash course to the new owner and, explain everything that I know. So I would pass down all that knowledge. There's just a few components, really. The atomizers don't really change in terms of the design might change, but the essential components still, they remain the same since then, since 2013. And the box mods, sure, the size, the shape, they still take batteries. The UI might change a little bit, but, so does Microsoft's Windows, right? I mean, It's not that much to really to make someone crazy about.
Okay, good. And you're willing to walk through anything they need to know anyway.
Absolutely. I'm going to be on speed dial. I have no problem with that.
Awesome. I'm sure that's reassuring for someone who's looking at this. So, obviously the best case scenario is that someone comes along and offers 100% cash offer of what you're looking for the site. But if that didn't happen, are you open to negotiating about things like that? Like, for instance, making a deal like an earnout?
We can definitely talk terms. We'll definitely leave a little bit of cushion there and slack for the new owner. And yeah, we'd be willing to listen at the very minimum to any offer. But, we do want something up front.
Yeah, that makes sense. But, the terms can be rolled out later, but you're open to talking and you're just really interested in passing the business off to someone who can grow it more. So I'm sure that's reassuring for someone.
It's really important that the new owner, understands everything that I've been doing, and so that I can know that he or she is listening and trying to learn everything that I could give them, so that they really will have a mastery over this industry, and that can lead them to, again, it's a lot of contacts also that I will pass down. Those contacts, you can't really get them if you just join up. Right now, no company is entering the e-commerce scene, since it's just too hard to get to our SEO, to where we got with respect to Google's search engine optimization. It's going to be, that's it. It's just us, maybe a handful of other companies online that really are recognized. So the sky's the limit. And, that's something that, you're not going to have new guys coming in and trying to muscle you out.
Yeah, that brand recognition is certainly key, and having that strong foundation, solidifies that the business is here to stay. Eric, I have one final question for you. Before we get to that, though, I want to go ahead and run through that quick summary of the business again. The business was built in September of 2013, has a monthly revenue of $28,207, expenses of $19,368 to make for a net profit of $8,840, which is generated on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the social media accounts, the Skype account. Seller will also introduce buyers to suppliers, and some of the manufacturing contacts are exclusive and will provide exclusive access and prices on products. Seller will also provide exclusive access to YouTube influencers in the industry. Please note that inventory is not included in the list price. Further details can be provided to active depositors. Eric, can you please just kind of recap everything that we've spoken about today and give me your best 30-second pitch on why someone should purchase this business?
Okay, so you are not alone. If you buy this business, you also have a team, a fulfillment team, a product sourcing team. You have manufacturers that will help you. You have manufacturers that will put your name out there. You're on a list of authorized vendors that is worldwide, that's on manufacturers' websites. You have Rolodex of influencers that are willing and able to work with you. And you have me in your corner, which will ensure that you stay on top of the niche. And you also have a bunch of help from our distribution that is more than willing to help, and that will constantly add new products that will make your site grow even faster.
I've said this before, but just being one of the key sellers, selling these important and crucial components, you can't beat that when you have such a strong brand recognition that people go to your site and just, trust in the products that you're selling because you're already such an established seller.
Yeah, and we're number one in SEO for a lot of key terms. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. And, the number one position for a lot of very high-end key terms in the industry.
There you go. I mean, there's another reason to feel confident about this business. People will find you and they will trust you and they will keep coming back. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today, kind of recapping what's been going on in the last few months for you.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. And if you want more information, the link will be below the video that will take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing site and want more information, become a depositor today. When you make the deposit, one of our business advisors will be in contact with you, and you will be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.